us all, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, we completed the recitation of Surah Al-Kahf and completed the story also of Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam and Khadir. Sayyidina Khadir or Khidr, Khidr is the more popular way it's pronounced, but according to the linguists, it's actually more correct to say Khadir, Khadir. But either way, it's fine. It's not incorrect one way or the other. So Sayyidina Khadir or Khidr alayhi salam, we know it takes place with Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam in Surah Al-Kahf, because Musa is famously asked who's the most knowledgeable person in the world, and he says me. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to teach him a lesson, and he tells him there's actually someone who's more learned than you and has knowledge that you don't have. But the lesson here again, it wasn't out of arrogance that Musa alayhi salam said that. He was answering honestly, but you should always defer in things that you may not have knowledge of. And even more importantly, that if you do come across a place where you can learn, you should be covetous of that knowledge. So when Musa alayhi salam is actually told there's someone who knows things which you don't, he asked Allah to tell me where to go. Just tell me what to do. I want to learn. So, and this was after all of the things that have taken place. By this time, he wasn't a young lad anymore. He was already in his elderly years. But even in that old age, he was still covetous to want to learn. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't even tell him like where to go. He just said go where the two waters split. He said in the words of Afnan, bet. And then he went off on his journey. And then, mashallah, he goes off and sets off on a journey without necessarily having like a GPS, a roadmap, nothing. Just find where the two waters split. And he goes. And he has his assistant with him. We spoke before about how Musa alayhi salam was in the company of a senior, Sayyidina Shu'aib alayhi salam. Well, Sayyidina Musa also had a prodigy, which was Yusha, Joshua. So Yusha alayhi salam, the prophet Yusha, is actually accompanies him on this journey. And he's the youngster that brings the food when they go on this trip. And when they get to an area where they're going to take some rest, he tells Yusha, tell me when you see the area where the two waters split. Something strange happens. While they're taking rest, Musa alayhi salam is taking rest. The lunch which they prepared, they had some fish, like a fish sandwich or something, right? So then the fish actually jumps out of the basket and jumps into the river. Yusha alayhi salam is amazed by this. The fish which they had prepared in their basket they had for lunch jumps out of the basket and jumps into the river and swims. And as it's swimming, it causes the water to split into two. And for whatever reason, this is Allah's divine wisdom, Allah causes Yusha alayhi salam to forget to tell this to Musa alayhi salam. So they set out on their journey. They go on their journey now after he wakes up to continue looking for this place that they need to find. And after some time, they get tired. Up to this point, it wasn't mentioned that they were tired or anything. Just kept going. We said, I'm tired. Bring me the lunch. So some of the scholars mentioned that when you start getting off track, you'll find yourself getting more tired than you need to. All of a sudden, you can't find. You're getting drained. You're wearing yourself out because there's no purpose. Because you're doing something which is misguided to begin with, without a purpose. So once they went off track, Sayyidina Musa started feeling that tiredness that he probably shouldn't have felt. So when he asked for his lunch, Yusha tells him, "Oh, I forgot to tell you. When we were taking rest, the fish jumped out and went into the water." So Musa alayhi salam said, "This is the place we were looking for." So they retrace their steps and they go back there, and who do they find? They find Sayyidina Khadir alayhi salam. And they find him in this place. And the name Khadir or Khidr, it comes from the word akhtar, which is green. So his name actually translates as green man. Translates as green man. And they called him a Khidr or Khadir because wherever he would pray, if he were to make salat even on a barren land, grass would grow there. So he was very, very mubarak in that regard of life, because he also has a very long life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him a long life, and most of the scholars believe that he is still alive today. And in the time of Dajjal, when there's going to be the youngster who's going to challenge the Dajjal and then be martyred by him, they say that's Khidr alayhi salam. It's mentioned in the books of hadith. It comes that in that commentary of the hadith, that youngster who comes and challenges the Dajjal and is killed the second time is actually Khidr alayhi salam. So he has a very Mubarak life. And where is this water area that he's found? They also mention this in the books of tafsir. It's Ayn al-Hayat. What does Ayn al-Hayat translate as? Fountain of youth, mashallah. It's not just in Indiana Jones, or it's not just like in storybooks. There's a reference to this in books of tafsir. Now, Allah Azza wa Jal knows best exactly like the veracity of all of these things. You don't have to have yaqeen. It's not like in Tahawi. You're not going to read about it in Tahawi, like Aqidah Tahawiyya, about the Ain al-Hayat. But it does mention this, that this is where he was. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him such a very long life, is because he was nourishing himself from this particular stream and this spring, which was the spring of life, known again, could translate as a fountain of youth. But this is where he finds Khadr alayhi salam. And then in this time, they go through their now exchange, where can I accompany you? I want to learn from you. You won't be patient. I will, just give me a chance. And they go through the stories that we all are aware of that we can save for another time, inshallah. But the way the story ends in Surah Al-Kahf, there's a nice kind of linguistic point there. Right? And it mentions ذَلِكَ تَأْوِيلُ مَا لَمْ تَسْطِعْ عَلَيْهِ صَبْرًا. So the Hufad, I'm sure when they memorize this part, they have to remember it's not astati', that ma'lam, right? Ma'lam tastati'. Other places, ma'lam tasti'. So in this tasti' alayhi sabara, they take off the ta. So it was almost, it's not mentioned like that in language. In language, it has a ta, because it's from Bab istif'al. Bab istif'al, there's a ta. Tastati'. So ما لم تستطع عليه صبرا, but here ما لم تستطع عليه صبرا. They remove the ta, because what does it actually mean? It translates as you weren't patient. So it was as if he was censuring him by shortening the word. Like, you don't even have the patience for me to finish my sentence. So he had to shorten his words. So that is the explanation of that which you weren't even patient enough to wait for. And in saying that, he shortened his words because he's not patient. So that's how the story of Musa alayhi salam and Khadir end in Surah Al-Kahf. And then towards the end of Surah Al-Kahf itself, there's a beautiful verse again, and all the verses are beautiful, but it makes an indication towards what Jannah is like. One of the things about, interesting enough, I think at some point many people think to themselves, and I've been asked this question, and I myself have asked this question, at some point, won't you get bored in Jannah? Like, can you really live forever? Won't you eventually get tired of things? It's one of the things that's hard to comprehend, because the nature of the world is that everything depreciates and everything gets, eventually you get tired of it. No matter how much you like something, eventually you get tired of it. Your favorite food, your favorite song, halal song like Nasheed, your favorite, you can only play so many times, right? Whatever it is, if you have some material, laptop, phone, car, at some point, you need to trade it in for something new. Paradise is not like that. Paradise, actually, everything gets better. So in the same way that the nature of this world, everything will kind of become less. The nature of paradise is everything becomes better. So you could never get tired of it, right? Just like it almost seems like impossible in this world that you can't not get tired of something. In paradise, you can't get tired of something. It's not possible. It's inconceivable you get tired of things, right? So then those who believe and do good deeds, كانت لهم جنات الفردوس نزلا, right? That they're going to have the loftiest levels of paradise as hospitality from Allah. And then, right, that they're going to be there forever. لا يبغون عنها حولا, and they will never seek something beyond this, meaning they'll never get tired of it. So that's the nature of paradise there. And then after